Welcome back into Live Now. I'm Austin Westfall. We are getting some breaking news. We're hearing that President Trump has signed the bill that Congress passed calling for the release of the federal government to release more Epstein files.
The Epstein files are coming out, but don't let that headline fool you. The media is leaving out the wildest part. How it's connected to Charlie Kirk's assassination and why KASH PATEL is sweating bullets right now. So today we're going to make those connections and expose what the legacy media is not allowed to talk about. And the very first thing you guys need to see is this bizarre clip of Pam Bondi.
Madam Attorney General, the DOJ statement earlier this year saying that the files would not release mentioned the fact that the review of the documents and the evidence did not suggest that any additional investigation of third parties was warranted. What changed since then that you launched this investigation?
Information that has come for information. There's information that new information, additional information, and again, we will continue to follow the law, to investigate any leads. If there are any victims, we encourage all victims to come forward. And we will continue to provide maximum transparency under the law.
I mean, come on. She sounds more nervous than even Prince Andrew, and that is saying something.
She described dancing with you and you profusely sweating, and that she went on to have bath, possibly.
There's a slight problem with the sweating because I have a peculiar medical condition, which is that I don't sweat, or I didn't sweat at the time.
It's almost like she realized mid-sentence that the whole narrative is collapsing. Don't forget, the DOJ under her watch insisted there was no client list, no blackmail, and no reason to investigate anyone else. But now, suddenly, she's claiming there's new information. Really? Where exactly did this magical new info come from? Surely it's not from the files that you didn't want us to see. Now, I think she's gonna say she was misinformed, but that excuse isn't gonna save KASH PATEL. I mean, just listen to what he said in that Senate hearing.
You've seen most of the files. Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself?
Himself. There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And the information we have, again, is limited.
So the answer is no one?
For the information that we have.
In the files?
In the case file.
Okay.
If these files end up showing that Epstein was offering his disgusting services to other powerful people, well, KASH is going to be in deep, deep trouble. Of course, now his other statement about Epstein also looks even more suspicious.
Did Jeffrey Epstein hang himself or did somebody kill him?
Senator, I believe he hung himself in a cell in the Metropolitan Detention Center.
Are you going to release all the information about that?
Senator, we are working through that right now with the Department of Justice.
Now, trust me, this is where the whole story starts getting even weirder. But before we dive into that mess, here's a quick word from our sponsor. You ever have those days where your brain feels like 47 tabs open at once? Yeah, me too. Between researching, editing, writing, and trying to keep my sanity, focus is everything. That's actually why I started using MH01. It's a premium brain and focus formula. 2 capsules a day, that's it. No caffeine, no jitters, no crash. Just clean, steady clarity that actually lasts. I take it in the morning before I start working, and it's wild how much more locked in I feel. Like I'm not constantly fighting distractions. It doesn't make me wired, it just makes me sharper. Honestly, it replaced my second cup of coffee, and I don't miss it. Even on long editing days or deep research sessions, I stay clear and dial in instead of burning out halfway through. My thoughts feel smoother, My focus stays consistent and I don't hit that afternoon slump like I used to. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen right now to get 25% off your first order and free shipping on your first month for US customers. And a huge thanks to MH01 for sponsoring this video. Links in the description. Now, here's the thing about KASH. He's not just tied into the whole Epstein mess. He's also the guy running the investigation in the Charlie Kirk assassination. Yeah, that case. The one that somehow gets messier every time you blink. I mean, did you see that whole Egyptian airplane theory Candace threw out there?
She discovered that between 2022 and September of 2025, both of those aircrafts, SUBTT, the yellow plane, and SUBND, the blue plane, showed 68 overlaps with Erica's documented locations, okay? 68 overlaps. I have since been able to add now 73 times that this overlapped, okay? And 29 of those instances also happened to include Charlie. Charlie was also present. And that's what I was stumbling upon when I was looking into this. I was like, why is this plane where Charlie is? If you don't think about what happened on 9/10, then you're guaranteed a slot into heaven. You know, I used to really lament the fact that I grew up on the wrong side of the tracks. Seriously, I hated that I didn't grow up rich. Who didn't, right? Who does not hate if you grow up without a lot, that you weren't just born into the right circumstances? And now I reflect on those feelings, and I wouldn't change a single thing. I am actually so grateful. That's what I want to say today. I discovered the Egyptian planes. They did what we now term a pre-bunking, right? A pre-bunking is when you say something casual and then they send out like a full fleet against you. And Provo sourced rental cars for these quote unquote Egyptians when they landed a couple of days before this operation. And I didn't just learn that. I actually have the license plates number for 4 of the vehicles that they rented, okay?
Whether you think she's crazy or kinda onto something, it definitely stirred the pot. Because check this out. There's this clip going around of Tyler's Dodge Challenger. It pulls into a parking lot like 1.6 miles from UVU, about 20 minutes after the shooting. As you can see, he never gets out. He just sits there. Then, out of nowhere, a white SUV pulls up behind him, and suddenly both cars drive off together. Now, sure, you can chalk that up to a coincidence, but here's what doesn't make sense to me. Tyler was supposedly rushing to get his rifle back around this time, right? He was apparently in such a hurry that he left stuff behind at the actual crime scene. So why is he just chilling in a parking lot 1.5 miles away? And don't even get me started on those weird rental vehicles that keep popping up. Have you seen this?
Candace Owens is single-handedly solving the Charlie Kirk assassination. Now, one of the license plates from one of the rental cars that was waiting for the Egyptian military plane at Salt Lake City Airport has been caught on Utah DOT camera on University Parkway, just 1.2 miles from the UVU campus, 25 minutes before the shots rang out. According to Project Constitution, the Arizona license plate CWN872 was not found on a white Camry, but instead was caught on camera on a black Tahoe, which is interesting considering the Ring camera footage of Tyler Robinson walking through a neighborhood towards UVU shows him being followed by none other than a black Tahoe. And according to ChatGPT, it's important to note that intelligence agencies do use rental cars because they are untraceable to individual agents. And they are known to swap out license plates in covert operations.
While Candace is over here connecting dots and asking questions, the FBI acts like they've already 100% solved this thing. No curiosity, no double checking, nothing. And then KASH PATEL jumps in and starts blaming social media for even asking questions.
My association, as you loosely define it, is by appearing in media over 1,000 times to take on people who are putting on conspiratorial theories and to devour them of their false impressions.
Maybe people wouldn't ask so many questions if the official story actually made sense.
The reality is, again, with social media, when you have hysterical conspiracy theories filling the void, you're harming Charlie and his family and a rightful prosecution of his alleged assassin, who we have in custody, and rightly so, in my opinion. And if anyone helped him, do you think that we at this FBI are literally going to let them get away with it?
So now that we're starting to see what honestly looks like intelligence fingerprints all over the Charlie Kirk case, let's zoom out for a second. Did you know that there are still names tied to Epstein's network that the public isn't allowed to see? Not rumors, actual names that just won't get released, even though they were supposedly central to what he was doing. And look, for years, people have been speculating that Epstein was mixed up with intelligence agencies. Some insiders even claim Trump's team was told something along those lines. True or not, it would explain why this guy kept getting second, third, and fourth chances while doing the most horrific stuff imaginable. Now, here's where it ties back to Charlie Kirk. We know he was very vocal about wanting those files released.
I think the DOJ should immediately move to unseal all the Epstein documents in the Southern District of New York.
Yeah. Everything. Everything except child sexual assault material.
I think every file should be released to the public the same way as the JFK files. Let the American people decide.
Well, I think they got to make this right. I mean, we as the American people deserve to have every Epstein file released with no redactions whatsoever, period. Correct. They got to make it right. And we, the American people, ran on transparency. We deserve to see the entire client list. Yeah. Every document the government has regarding the Epstein files, we, the American people, should have on an easy-to-access website immediately, in a very, very quick fashion. I'm pushing for that both privately and publicly, just so you know.
Now, he was pushing hard for transparency until suddenly he wasn't. He suddenly backed off completely.
Honestly, I'm done talking about Epstein for the time being. I'm going to trust my friends in the administration. I'm going to trust my friends in the government to do what needs to be done, solve it, balls in their hands. I've said plenty this last weekend. So if you guys want to see my commentary on it, that's fine.
And the internet tore him apart for it. But the whole thing felt off. It looked like he was pressured. And then, out of nowhere, he gets assassinated publicly as if someone was trying to send a message. And you're saying that's all a coincidence? Now, let's talk about why Pam Bondi quietly trimming certain names from the Epstein documents freaked some people out. If she has that authority, who's to stop her from protecting some billionaire banker or one of those Silicon Valley types who also have intelligence connections? Someone like Peter Thiel, who is not only Epstein's business partner, but also the guy who created the whole NSA surveillance network. That's why Marjorie Taylor Greene is suggesting the whole thing still stinks.
Now, where does this go from here? The question will remain. Will the Department of Justice release all the information? Will a judge in New York release the information? Will the CIA release the information? And will foreign governments release their information? Or will this continue after this vote today, be a cover-up?
And while all this chaos is going on, suddenly you've got guys like Larry Summers dropping these apologies.
Some of you will have seen my statement of regret, expressing my shame with respect to what I did in communication with Mr. Epstein, and that I've said that I'm going to step back from public activities, but for a time, but I think it's very important to fulfill my teaching obligations. And so, with your permission, we're going to go forward and talk about the material in class.
Like that's supposed to just clean the slate. I don't think that's enough, and I think most people agree with me. They want the full story. Every name, every detail. They want to know which powerful people were involved and what exactly was happening behind closed doors. But the sad part is the agencies that are supposed to expose this stuff, we simply cannot trust them anymore. And that's exactly why you've got to look at what they don't show you. The names that suddenly disappear. The timelines that don't line up. And the classified sections that stay conveniently blacked out. Because 9 times out of 10, that's where you'll find the real story.